Photos all good. We'd like to welcome Coach Meyer to the dais. I think that everybody knows who you are. We're going to make it official.
Thank you.
All right, once again, we'd like to encourage everybody, please, to raise your hand with any questions. Please identify yourself for the sake of the coach and our TV audience, and we'll look first for any questions. Kate and John will get a mic to anybody that's got a question. Third row.
Hey, Urban, Austin Ward from Letterman Row. When you have a week with somebody like Wyatt Davis, who's about to make his first start on this stage, does that person get more of your attention during the week, or do you try to ignore some of that stuff? How do you handle him going into something like this?
No, they get a lot of attention, and more attention from their line coach, obviously, and Kevin Wilson's knee-deep in that. I'm involved, but Wyatt is a guy that you've covered us, so you heard us been talking about him for quite a while. You know, if this is a year ago, we'd have a problem. We're excited. He's earned playing time. We're trying to find a way without disrupting the cohesiveness of the offensive line. And that's why we put him at tight end and just try to get him in the game, but he's ready to go.
Here we go to our back on the left.
Hi, Urban. Dave Briggs, the Toledo Blade. One of your former assistants, Scott Leffler, was hired at Bowling Green yesterday. I was just curious your thoughts on that hire and why you think he might be able to be the guy to bring BG back.
I love Bowling Green. Will always be a Falcon, and I've had great conversations with their athletic director, and Scott's outstanding. He's an Ohio guy. That's going to be the key, is to be, energize that area, energize with Ohio players as many as they can. And I got a great feel for that one. I'm glad he got it.
Coach will stay in the same row.
Kyle Rowland, Toledo Blade. Just how fond are your memories of the 2001 Northwestern game? And at that stage of your career, just how important was that victory for you?
Yeah, it was a great one. It was, I think we scored 29 points in the fourth quarter to win that game, and went for two with, scored right at the end of the game with no timeouts. Great, nice 5, 6, 7 hour bus ride from Bowling Green, Ohio. I think we got a couple sandwiches on the way home. It was great. But that was that was our breakthrough. That was our 9/11 game that year, and we were playing really well at the end, and just a great win over a dear friend of mine, Randy Walker. And after that game, we became even closer, and just have great respect for Northwestern, obviously, and their coach. And I just asked Pat. Pat was on that staff. He's so young. I thought he might be a player back then, but just great respect for Northwestern.
Row 2.
Urban, there was a report out today saying that next year would be your last year. Do you care to comment on that? Is there any truth to it at all?
No comment on that.
Row 2, opposite side.
Urban, Dwayne Haskins Jr. was named the winner of the Chicago Tribune Silver Football Award today. How deserving is that? And as he said, he's only reached about 65, 70% of his ceiling in his estimation. Just what do you see down the road for him?
I'm glad he said that, because I agree. But he is his acceleration in the last month has been exceptional. And I always say it's 1/3 of playing quarterback is throwing the ball, and the other 2/3 are a combination of toughness, of leadership, intelligence, and all the other intangible values that unique position has to have. So I love that award. I think it's one of the great awards that you can have. We've been fortunate with Braxton and JT, and I believe Zeke. We've been really fortunate to be well represented with that award, and it's a great one. I know Dwayne's very honored, as are we.
Row 3.
Urban, to follow up on that, are you at the point of the year, I know you don't pay attention to the other candidates, where you think that Dwayne could get to New York for the Heisman? We haven't asked you about that in a while, and I know you don't pay a great amount of attention to it.
Zero. There's a time to talk about that, not now.
You can go and come on up here, Kate. Row 1, please. Again, we do ask people, please identify yourselves.
Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com. Urban, linebackers played well last week.
Very well.
Baron Browning has had a role with the linebackers, had the times when he was out for a little bit. Just what's this season been like for Baron? He's still a young guy, but Tuff's playing well. Where is he right now?
Exceptional talent. I thought he would be a little further advanced right now, and we want to play him. He deserves to play, and I anticipate he'll play a lot tomorrow.
Hands, please, for Coach Meyer, front row.
Urban, Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Just, you asked about a report earlier today. All season long, you've had people reporting things, different things that have been distractions. How have you made sure that you've kept yourself focused and not allowed any of those things to affect your preparation for a game like tomorrow?
How have I? Just trying to do the job that we're all asked to do the best we can. So it hasn't been a distraction.
Row 2.
Hey, Urban, Teddy Greenstein, Chicago Tribune. From what you know about Dwayne's family, how have they helped him become the man and the player he is?
Well, they've helped him become the man he is. That's the ultimate responsibility as a parent, and boy, are they great parents. They have a beautiful daughter, Tamia, and she's awesome at what she does. She's an actress, and they're very highly educated. They invest a lot of money in their children. They send them to as good a school as you can, even move in their family so they could receive that education. My conversations with his mother and father have always been about academics and about how sometime this football gig's going to be over. And I can't say enough about those people. I love them. They are family.
Andy Anders, Buckeye Grove. I know you talked about Wyatt Davis a little bit earlier, but offensive line coming off probably its best game of the season last week against Michigan. How do you maintain that cohesion up front and pass protection with a new face?
Leaning on our veterans up there. Demetrius, that was a tough one. But he'll be playing right next to Isaiah and right next to Michael Jordan, and those are veteran guys. And the one thing, when the foot hits the ball and you're out there playing, there's no coach around. So coaching becomes very overrated at that point. So you rely on the leadership of those guys. He's around veteran players. The expectation level is not going to change, and he's performed very well in practice.
Tim May, Columbus Dispatch again. Coach Meyer, can you tell during a week of practice, the last 2 weeks especially, a progress by your defense that you think will carry over into Saturday night?
At times you can, and then other times you're shocked because you think your practice is great and it doesn't show up on the field. So I'd say we batting about 80%. When I see him practice, I expect the expectation level is very high, and it usually becomes that. It usually shows up. I have seen great progress. Obviously, we took a significant backward step against Maryland, but other than that, you look at, even though Nebraska wasn't perfect, it was a step in the right direction. Michigan State was a step in the right direction, and then a bad one, and then we gave some points in the fourth quarter, but I thought against the team up north, they kept a very talented team in check for most of the night.
Urban, Ari Wasserman, The Athletic. You guys have recruited a tremendous amount of speed over the years to this roster. You're playing a game indoors on a track that they run the NFL Combine on. Do you buy that fast tracks are a thing? Can your team play faster indoors on a track like this?
We have some fast guys, and that's no secret that that's one of our principles of offensive football is get fast guys in space, and that'll be part of it tomorrow. We're playing a team that also believes in not allowing that to happen, and that's been countless hours trying to figure out how to do that because they don't give up many big hits. They just don't. You look at statistics, and they just don't do that. They also were up 17-0 on our rivals and keeping them in check, and I think they came back and won 2017. So we like fast tracks, but it's going to be a chess match and a challenge and a way to get our guys in space against this defense.
Go back to back right here on the aisle.
Hey, Urban, Adam Rittenberg with ESPN. Ryan Day's a guy who's come up in conversation for other jobs. I'm just curious how you handle that as a head coach, whether you talk to him about it, hey, nothing until after the game. How do you kind of handle that as his boss?
Well, I've had a lot of experience with that. We've had, tremendous amount of guys go on to become great head coaches. Ryan Day is elite. I've said that many, many times, and there'll be a time and a space. Certainly now is not that time, and this week's not this time, but there'll be a time.
Austin Ward, Letterman Row. Urban, you talked earlier in the week about how unique the preparation is for your rivalry game. When you follow it up with this for a championship, is it tougher to move on physically or mentally with your team to get ready after everything you poured into last Saturday?
Well, we've had a few years of experience with it. That's a great question, and that's, I remember when I was at Florida, we played Florida State right before the SEC championship, and usually those are just chaos games. And then this one, obviously, every time we play our rival, it's just the players you play against, the wear and tear. So our offensive line played 95 plays, 105 plays, and then they played their rival. And so we had to be very judicious on putting our kids in harm's way, and we're trying to get a right guard ready to start for the first time. So those are all the things that we'll find out how we did, but that was, your question occupies a lot of time and thought.
First row.
Urban, we've asked you versions of this question a million times over the years, but I'll ask it again. This Big Ten championship game, for instance, Oklahoma and Texas are playing each other in a championship game because the Big 12 doesn't have divisions. That's the two best teams, two rivals playing each other. The Big Ten, the way you guys do it, two divisions, championship game like this format, this whole thing, what do you think of how the Big Ten determines a champion in this playoff world?
Well, I congratulate the people in Indianapolis in this championship game. It's over the top. When we jog on this, first of all, the arena is incredible. It's a lifetime experience for our players and really our staff. I remember the first time I jogged in it in 2013. Incredible. What the Big Ten, I shouldn't say has become because that's not fair, but the Big Ten and this championship game, I think it's one of the faces of college football right now, and we're honored to be part of it. So I just, the people, Mr. Delaney and all the people that work so hard for this, it's an awesome experience. And I know the SEC and the Big 12 and a lot of teams have these championship games, Pac-12, but I'd put ours against anybody.
Hey, Urban, Ivan Mazel of ESPN.com. A few minutes ago, Pat said he thinks some balance needs to be restored, offense versus defense. Is there something that can be done with the rules or in any other way to combat fast guys in space? And should there be?
Rules to keep the scores down or something like that?
Do you think the game's do you think it's out of balance? And is there something that could be done?
Oh, I'll be honest, you caught me off guard a little bit. I have no idea. We're going to try to get some first downs tomorrow and all that. I think right now, there's some good thought to that, but it's also probably the most popular it's ever been. And I know that's important to a lot of people. I know as coaches just try to win the game, but I haven't really thought about that. I'm sorry, Ivan.
Questions for Coach Meyer? Let's go in second row on the right.
Urban, Cole Paxton, Daily Northwestern. I'm wondering, as you prepared this week and looked at your team this week, if there's a position matchup or a position battle that you think is especially important for you tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll start with kicking game, and that's a big part of it. They were very aggressive on how they came after punts. And, everybody made it. I got asked many questions about our opening drive last week against our rival. And they wanted to talk about the pass to Chris Olave, and that was really not. That was a guy running fast and dove in the end zone. I'd rather talk about our kickoff team that went down there and tackled an elite athlete, number one for our rival, held him inside, I believe, the 20-yard line. We were 3'd and out, and we had a 22-yard punt return, and the offense started on the midfield, and that's how we try to operate. So the matchup I see number one is the field position matchup, especially against this team never has penalties. Very disciplined, very few fumbles, and that's why the matchup to me is going to be field position in this game. And most championship games it is.
Row 2.
Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, how uncomfortable is it, though, because we asked you some questions on Monday, obviously, about this, but for people out there speculating that not only do you guys need to win, but you need to put on a great show on Saturday night to have a chance in the college football playoff selection committee's thinking. How uncomfortable is that to deal with?
I only deal with it when you ask me, so it's not uncomfortable. I can understand and appreciate it, but there's zero conversation in there about it.
We're going to go row 1 here.
Urban, Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. You said earlier this week that you were going to be hard on your guys this week, that you really wanted to push them hard because of how well they played against Michigan. Are you pleased with what you saw from your team in practice this week in terms of being prepared as they need to be for this game?
Yeah, be hard on them, be fresh, and be mentally prepared, and I think we're there. Obviously, the foot hits the ball tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so we still have a lot of time, but I like where we're at.
Questions for Coach Meyer? Row 2.
Bill Rabinowitz from the Dispatch. Just want to make sure that there are no new injuries. Everyone's healthy. Is that true?
Good to go.
Coach Mike Williams, Sports Capital Journalism Program, IUPUI. Just curious, with the rise of Northwestern and how Purdue's improved over the past couple of years, what are your thoughts on the Big Ten West and your outlook on their future?
Obviously, we have our overlap games, and we've had some tough ones here in the last few years, so I like to use that R word a lot, the respect factor, and once again, I apologize. I just don't spend much time thinking about it. It's week to week, and it's hard for us to separate the East and the West. It's just week to week, get ready to go play and find out who's healthy. But I think there's some fine teams. I tell you what, the Nebraska coach and Nebraska team are going to be. You can see what's happening there. We got them. They're going to be very good, and obviously Purdue was outstanding, and so there's some very good teams over there.
Questions for Coach Meyer? Before we give Coach an early exit, we'll ask one more time for any questions.
That's a wrap.
3, 2, 1. Coach, you've got an early afternoon. Congratulations and good luck.
Thanks, brother.
Good luck to you.